At some point, everyone who plays the saxophone will need to decide if they want to invest in a better mouthpiece. In today's video, I will compare a $50 beginner's mouthpiece with a $500 hand-finished mouthpiece for professionals, and we will see what the differences are and if it's really worth investing the money. The beginner's mouthpiece is a Yamaha 4C that is great to play and really the best choice for beginners. And I will compare this mouthpiece to a Matt Marantz Slant Legacy model. And Matt Marantz, for anyone who doesn't know, is a well-established saxophone player in the New York scene, and his mouthpieces are played by Joel Fram, Melissa Aldana and many more. Just a little side note before I start, I'm comparing mouthpieces on my tenor saxophone because it's my main instrument, but the results are also easily translatable to alto saxophone. Also important to mention is that I'm playing the same reed on both mouthpieces, and it's going to be a Van Doren ZZ reed number 3, so it's going to be a reed that also a beginner would play on the Yamaha 4C mouthpiece. So how the comparison will go is that I will play a few different things always on both mouthpieces, and then I will look at different aspects. I will look at response, volume, control, sound and altissimo. Okay, so let's see how I rated the mouthpieces. Let's first talk about the Yamaha 4C mouthpiece. The first category I wanted to compare was response, and here I would give 5 out of 5 points. This is why it's so great for beginners, because it's really easy to produce a tone. Also to play soft is really easy. A lot of this is due to the fact that the mouthpiece has a very small tip opening, so you don't need that much air to get the tone going, and it's just really easy to control like this. So the second category was volume. There I would give the Yamaha mouthpiece 2 out of 5 points. This is really the downside of having a mouthpiece with such a small tip opening. It's going to be really hard to play for example, with a band without a microphone and still be heard when the drummer is playing a little bit louder. The next category is control. Here I would give the Yamaha mouthpiece again 5 out of 5 points. I think this is again why it's so great for beginners. The small tip opening often means that you have more control, and especially with this mouthpiece this is definitely true. The next category is sound. Here I would give the Yamaha mouthpiece 2.5 out of 5 points. It has a sound that is not edgy or too dark. It's very neutral, which is really good, really in the middle of the spectrum. But it's also nothing really special. So you're not really able to shape the sound so much, but it's a very okay sound that doesn't go into any bad direction. And the last category is altissimo. Here I would give the Yamaha mouthpiece 2 out of 5 points. I think that it's already a good thing that you can play altissimo, but it's really not supporting it too much. I could really feel that it was much more difficult than on my Matt Marantz mouthpiece. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's also related a little bit to the smaller tip opening. But anyway, as a beginner, you don't really need the altissimo range, so you don't have to care about that too much. So it also makes sense that this mouthpiece is not necessarily so strong in that. Okay, so to the next mouthpiece, the Matt Marantz. Let's first take a look again at response. I would give this mouthpiece 4 out of 5 points. Because as you could also hear when I played really soft notes, it's really not as easy as with the Yamaha mouthpiece. It still works great, but you need more practice, and which is a bit of a downside. I find it very difficult to always play clear, very, very soft notes. So often you have some noise in it from saliva or from the air, and with the Yamaha mouthpiece this was much easier to have this very clear sound without any noise. The next category is volume. Here I would give the Matt Marantz really 5 out of 5 points. I've played a lot of 7-star mouthpieces, and for me this mouthpiece is one of the loudest in a good way. It's not too edgy or anything, but I've never had any situation where I felt like I really couldn't get through when I was playing in a louder band. So this is really great, and in general the bigger the tip opening, the more volume you also get. Okay, so let's talk about control. Here I would give the Matt Marantz also a little bit in the comparison to the Yamaha mouthpiece 4 out of 5 points. It's a really great mouthpiece, but it needs some practice, and especially for beginners it can be not so easy to manage such a tip opening. The next category is sound, and this is why I play this Matt Marantz mouthpiece in the end, because it really has a great sound. I would give it 5 out of 5 points. It's the classic Otto-Link sound, maybe with a little bit of a modern touch, and it's very versatile, and most of all has a really nice color and a nice character to it. And the last category is altissimo. Here I would also give 5 out of 5 points to the Matt Marantz mouthpiece. I feel really comfortable playing altissimo. It's as easy as I experienced it from any mouthpiece that I tried. It's very stable, and also it sounds still very full and very good, and it doesn't get so thin, what you sometimes have with certain mouthpieces. Of course, now I'm also curious what you thought when you heard the comparison. Let me know in the comments. So if you should find yourself in the position that you have a beginner's mouthpiece, maybe even this Yamaha, and you're thinking about upgrading, I would definitely say that it's worth the money. You don't have to go right away for this hand-finished mouthpiece that often costs over $400 or $500. You can also find a lot of great mouthpieces between $100 to $200 or $250. I will list some in the comments that I would recommend. Of course, in this this price range. They are not hand finished usually, so you never really know what you get. Some mouthpiece might be great, the next one might be just really not so great. If you have the money and you are really serious about playing the saxophone and you know what you're looking for, so you will also stick with the mouthpiece for a long time, it can be great to really invest a little bit more money and buy this hand-finished mouthpiece. I will also list a few of these hand-finished, really top-notch mouthpieces in the comments. So that's it. That was my comparison of a beginner's mouthpiece and like a pro-level mouthpiece. Of course, mouthpieces are only one part of it. Another very important aspect is reeds. So if you want to learn more about reeds, how to work on them, or also which ones to choose, make sure to check out my other videos on the channel. See you next time.